Okay, so there's my surface here. So of course, with the wafer paper, you know what I'm using, premium wafer paper from Icing Images, of course, because it is the best, nice and soft and flexible. So then I have some royal icing already mixed up here. Now you want a soft consistency. You don't want it too runny, and you don't want it too thick either. So that one just kind of has a little soft peak consistency to it. And I put a little bit of food glycerin in here because the glycerin will help keep it soft and flexible after the stencil, so that you don't have to worry about cracking so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut out with some scissors. I'm going to cut out a sail shape. Now you can do this before you stencil, or you can do it after. It really doesn't make too much of a difference. Okay, we'll take that there. And then you can use any, these are just all kinds of different stencils that I have. You know, as cake decorators, we collect things randomly from all over the place. So these, I'm not even sure where I got this one. That one doesn't even fit, so let's not use that. Yeah, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be good. So, gonna put the stencil over top of the wafer paper. Take a little bit of royal icing, and then spread it on. It's gonna be a thin layer. I want to get it nice and smooth. Okay. And take off all of the excess. Okay. And then once you have that, now you want to add, if you want a luster dust, like the gold, this is when you would add that to it. You can, of course, pre-color your royal icing, which I will show you that as well. But I want to show you how to use with the luster dust. So this is just a little gold powder. Just taking my brush, and I'm pretty generous with this. And I'm kind of dabbing it on. I'm not really brushing it too much. Once it's coated, you can brush it up. But when you first put it on, you just want to dab it a bit. And we'll have some good coverage here because I used a lot. We've got that. And then you just want to gently lift it off. Okay. As you can see, of course, it did not go all the way down. So then you have your stenciled wafer. So that's really it. So now we're going to let it dry for a minute or two, and it dries really, really fast, especially when it has that powder on it. That will help it dry faster. And then I'll show you how to shape it. So you can put that over to the side for a moment. Okay. And always make sure you keep your royal icing covered when you're not working with it, so it doesn't dry out. Yeah. Then another thing that I want to do, well, that is, cut that there. Let's see. That is really getting there. So I am going to turn on the steamer. The steamer going. I don't know if you can see this, just a little tiny closed steamer. You can just get this on Amazon, you know, everything on Amazon, right? And what we're going to do is once the steam starts coming out, okay, be really careful when you're working with the steamer because it is very hot. It will burn your hand quite easily. Don't get too close to it. Ooh. Steam. And can you see it bending? I try and put the steam on the back so that it doesn't melt the decoration at all. And when you have it, and let it bend a little bit. I want to steam the bottom a little bit more so I can. But then we can just let that step to the side so that it dries in the shape, and then it's ready to place something. Pretty simple, right? Told you this is a quick but effective way to make some great decorations. So besides that type of stenciling, another thing that I tried out with this.
Guys, she can't hear me. Sometimes she can.
Oh, I'm just gonna rip the glove.
Lisa?
Yeah.
How much glycerin did you add?
Oh, I added like a drop to just a drop or two to about half a cup of royal icing.
So very little.
So very little. Yeah, it does not take much. So, well, I probably should have showed you the chocolate first, but now we're on to this. So another thing I thought was stamps. The stamps are really fun. If you have any, make sure you're only using it for your food products. That's what these were bought for. So I want to try and stamp and then stencil. So I'm just put some black food coloring onto a paper towel, and I'm just rubbing it onto this stencil that has some wording on it, or the stamp, sorry. That one's a little bit heavy there. Oh, that'll be interesting. Okay. And get some on there. It's okay, it doesn't want it. You don't want this one to be perfect anyway. So let's see what happens. Let's hope it works. Okay. I'm gonna push this down. And pull it up. So we got a little something there, not quite as much as I wanted. Might add a little bit more. I can get this a little bit better here. Other areas. Ooh. And this is why I'm wearing gloves, right? There we go. It's a little bit better there. And let's try.
Oh, Dulcie. Okay.
All right, so we have a little bit of stamp there, which came out not too bad. And that's already dry over there. So now I want to do a little bit of layering. So I have a mesh stencil. I wasn't sure if mesh stencils would work with this technique because they can be a little temperamental, but I did try it out earlier and it worked great. So let's hope we can have two here. I'm just going to put that on top of the wafer where I want it. And again, the royal icing for a mesh stencil does need to be a little bit thinner than for, what are the acrylic stencils? That's what I call them, I think. So this one has, as you can see, has a bit more of a flow to it. Again, you don't want it too runny. You don't want it too liquid. Otherwise, it will smear more than have the design come out. So, I'm gonna spread that. You want to push down and really scrape it through the mesh. Okay. Get all of that excess off. All right, guys, let's see if this one works, huh?
Here we go.
Yeah,
Ooh,
a little bit.
it worked great. I love the layers.
I thought the layers could be really, really fun to do. So you can obviously take this technique and really run with it and come up with all kinds of designs. Really, I think a lot of this comes from scrapbooking, and a lot of the paper art where they are able to layer up so many different patterns and designs. And so this was just a little quick run through of it, but I think we can really play with this kind of idea and make some pretty special decorations for the cake. So that
Yeah,
is
that's great. It's like mixed media.
mixed, right? Exactly.
Hey, you can hear me.
Hey, Deb, I can hear you a lot better.
I don't know what just changed. I just realized you could hear me. That's so funny.
So let's see, what do I want to do with this one? We're going to do the chocolate. So I've been working with the royal icing on wafer paper, but you can also stencil with chocolate. So this is just a compound chocolate, and I need to go just put it in the microwave for another second. So I will be right back. I just got to get it warmed up.
Yeah, the chocolate wouldn't last a minute for me. I'd be eating it all. I'd be definitely eating it all. What do you guys think so far? I think this is going really well now that we got it started, which is great. Please ask any questions because now she can actually hear me, which makes a big difference. There we go. And there is a coupon this week. It's not scrolling below for some reason. Sorry. And I put the coupon already up above.
Okay, all right, so we've got this warmed up. Now, the only thing is, of course, I don't want white because why? You won't see it. There's no point, right? So I've got a little sugar art. Let's see, Tree Peony Pink. Let's see how that one comes out. I like their elite colors because you can use them in chocolate. As you all know, you need an oil base or proper powder to color chocolate. And that one's not very bright though. Might need to change colors. Throw in some more. Okay, so we want to be able to see the contrast between the chocolate and the wafer paper. Those are still, yeah, that's pretty similar. We're not going to be able to see that. So, there we go. I probably should have grabbed this from the beginning. Color mode, chocolate colors, and this will work. Okay. So
We
this
actually
is
sell the chameleon colors, which are also great for chocolate.
ooh, nice. Good to know. I'm gonna have to try those out. Okay. All right. So for this one, let me grab another sheet of wafer paper. For this one, I'm going to cut some strips. Pretty. How do I want to do this? Yeah, I'm just going to cut it. One, two, cut it into four. This side. Is that one going to be long enough? Okay, I'll do it twice. Okay, I want a little small pattern on this one. And this chocolate, oh, I forgot to mention, I did add a tiny bit of vegetable oil into here. And again, that's just to keep it a little bit flexible, so it doesn't crack on you. We'll just spread it nice and thin. And where's my little scraper? I know it was around here somewhere. I will find it. Get off all the excess.
Hey, Lisa.
Yeah.
Can you tilt your light or your camera just a little bit because it's like glaring off and it's hard to see?
Okay.
That's a little better. Oh, no.
Yeah, I can see what's going on there. That's weird.
Maybe bring it a little closer or move your light.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's a little better. Now we can see the pink.
Okay, great. Finish up on the end here. Definitely don't want to disturb what you already did. I think my surface is not completely flat. Now we have a little bit of a pink pattern on there. I'm just going to set that one aside. I want to do a little bit more. Scraper. It's hard to find things when everything is white. Everything's white. It just blends in together. All right, well, let's just try it again. All right. Hopefully there won't be a glare on it this time for you. Add a little bit.
You're using chocolate right now, is that right?
Yes, I'm working with the chocolate instead of royal icing. And
did you know you can actually do stencils with flex frost, with you probably can do it with wafer paper too, honestly. You just I would add paper potion to the wafer and grind it up, and it probably will work as well.
For the stencil?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. All right. This one almost done. All right, so I've got my second strip done. Now, as you can see, I didn't cut these into a sail shape. It's pretty basic, pretty boring, right? So let's make it look pretty. What I want to do is
pretty.
to get my steamer going again. And I'm going to raise this up a little bit more so that you can make sure that you can see. So what we're going to do is make these into bow loops. So with the steamer, when you use chocolate, you definitely want to make sure that you're only steaming the back part, because that will melt the chocolate very quickly. I'm going to steam that a little bit. Fold it, one end, steam the other end. And then we can fold those together. And I do need a little bit of water. A little bit here. Just going to use my finger. Just wet that. A little bit of water will make them stick together.
That's really pretty.
And
So
we have a pretty little loop. There's one. Set that to the side. Okay.
So I bet you can use the paper potion too to spray the back and get the same flexibility there.
You know what? Deb, you are so right. You know what? Let's try it right now. I have my potion.
Paper potion.
It might be a lot better with working with the chocolate, right? So there's my paper potion. Soften, and you are a genius. Look at you. All right, that one tore a little bit, but we'll get it to fold over. That one, I did tear it a little bit, but I think when you put it all together, so you've got your little loops here, and then you would glue these onto your cake. Can you see how pretty that is? And make some little tails for it. So that, to make the tails, you would just cut a V at the bottom.
All right, so my imagination is going.
Do the same thing with the stencil and have that at the bottom coming down. Have two of those.
So my imagination is going, and I can see if you can take those exact same things and you make it so that where it's coming together is put down into the cake. So you're seeing the tops of those sails, I guess, or bows, and you do several in a row, like around the outside of a cake. I think it'd be beautiful.
Yeah, very. And with Christmas coming up, you can have little Christmas stencil designs on it, make little packages for your cake. Yep. I think that would be adorable. So just some really fun ways to give your wafer paper a lot of character. So the next one I want to show. So this is another layering technique, which I really, I think you guys are going to really like this one. And it's perfect because we are still in fall, even though you wouldn't really know it with everybody with all of their Christmas and Christmas content that they're posting, but we are still in fall. So I'm just going to show you something really quick and easy that you can do for pretty maybe Thanksgiving cake. So for this one, I'm going to use some dust colors. First, going to use in fall. So a little fall palette here. I don't need a whole lot. So I'll start with my little red. And I go in little different areas. Here, add some yellow. A little touch of orange.
I love how fast you work to create that, how easy it is to make it look fall, you know?
Right? Isn't it? Yeah, this is one technique that it is fun to do, and it is quick and easy. And you can just make it so pretty. So I've got a little bit of excess, so I'm just going to brush that off. Okay, so just like that, I have this really pretty colored wafer paper, which I love it. I love it just like it is, but we're going to make it extra special. So I have this leaf mesh stencil that I actually got from Evil Cake Genius. I think it was free with some kind of order at one point, which we love. We love free, right? Definitely.
Free is
Okay,
good.
so then I'm going to take my brown again, and I'm just going to go right over the top. Scrape it down. Lift it off. Okay. Okay, can you see that leaf pattern up there? Look how pretty, right?
It's gorgeous.
Kind of nice.
Yep.
The really good thing with the mesh stencils is it's so, they're so thin, like that icing is so thin on there, it dries pretty much instantly. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it out. I'm cutting out my leaf, just a very rough cut around the edge. One. This one. And you can see I'm not being very super specific here, just kind of giving it a basic leaf shape. Okay, down.
Wow.
All right, so I have that, but now that needs some movement. So again, I think the best way for this one is again to use that steamer. And already warm, it'll only take a second here. Go and just place it. And you can see how it's already curling up. Kind of cool because leaves when they fall, right? They are definitely not flat.
That's
So
for
you want to
sure.
let those curl a bit. Okay. And then they look, I think they're really pretty the way that they are. I love how all the colors and everything come through. But if you want to make it just a little bit extra, right? Because who doesn't love extra? Oh, here we go. There's my water. I have a little water pen here. You can distress the edges even more. You just want to be careful. Let's see if this works. So we get the edges a little bit wet, and then they will start to kind of curl a little bit on their own. Parts of the wafer paper will dissolve. The water does make wafer paper dissolve. But for this, I would like it to. Hopefully it actually works. Hopefully my pen's working. There we go. Get some water out of that. Go. And then we can let that sit and dry, and it will be even more realistic. And you can make a bunch of these just super quick and toss a pile of leaves on top of your cake or your holiday pies, and Thanksgiving is ready and very special.
Very nice.
There you go. There's
Love
that.
it.
So there is that. So I don't know if we have time for anything else, Deb.
If you have one more, you could probably squeeze it in. We got about 10 minutes if you want.
Okay. So how did I do that one? There is definitely another way. What did I do? Oh yeah, just with the coating. So if you don't have chocolate on hand, you don't want to make royal icing, but you still want to stencil, your wafer paper. You can most definitely do that. So I've got some wafer paper here, and I have just your basic shortening. You know, Crisco, whatever kind of shortening, and a little paper towel. And I'm just going to spread that super thin layer on the wafer paper. Okay. Take off any excess. Okay, I'm going to take my stencil. And how about we stay with kind of a leaf motif here? Here we go. There's another stencil. Since I have all these pretty colors, we might as well use them. And then
You're going to have to adjust your lighting again.
You can adjust the lighting again. All right, let me get a little bit closer. Is that better?
And yes, wait. Hold on. I'm waiting for the replay. Yeah, it seems to be a little bit better.
Okay. All right. So then I'm just going to dab on. And again, you don't want to rub with this one. So I'm just kind of touching it on in different areas.
So those are just the dusts, is that correct?
So these are just dusts, and I primed the wafer paper with some shortening, which will make the dust stick to it, really. The difference, the biggest difference with using this technique is it is very flush with the wafer paper. So whereas with this royal icing or the chocolate, you do have a little bit of a, almost like a 3D effect going on. But when you do just the petal dust, it's very flat to the paper. So I think there's definitely, it will just depend on what you want, well, what you have time for, what you have on hand, and the final look that you want. But this way, like I'm loving this right now because I can mix the colors in the same stencil. Whereas when you're using royal icing, as you saw, royal icing or chocolate, it's a little bit harder. It would be a little harder to do that. So most of those stencils, actually, every other stencil I showed you was just one color. So I'm really excited to actually see how this one comes out. Let's make sure I have everything colored in here.
So you could actually mix the medium. So like maybe do some of what you're doing right now, let it dry, and then do some with chocolate over top. Could you do that?
I think you could. So I've seen a lot of, if you follow any cookie people, there's a lot of cookie sets, stencil sets that have this like 2 or 3 pieces.
Layers.
So yeah. the stencil sets, they all go with each other so that they don't ruin the first layer. So yeah. I think if you used definitely a stencil set, it would be really fantastic. So yeah. All right, let's go, guys. What do we got?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Like, this is even prettier than I thought it was going to be.
That's gorgeous. That's my favorite.
I love it. I love it. So, and because of the shortening, as you can see, like, nothing's coming off of that.
Yeah.
It's just sticking right on the wafer paper, and it didn't smudge or smear or anything. So
absolutely gorgeous.
What do you guys think? You like it?
Yep, they think it's beautiful and gorgeous and that whole thing. Yeah, Dulcie says it's her favorite too. Yep, Jessie Ann loves